Welcome to the In Love with PMDD Podcast. I am your host, Rose, your PMDD Relationship Expert. I have personally been suffering with PMDD for over 15 years and spent so much time desperately trying to navigate my intimate relationships, going from breakup to breakup, thinking that everyone else was the problem. I am now married to an amazing PMDD partner thanks to the PMDD specific relationship tools that I have developed over the years, and now I am here to share them with you. Because I know that there is not much research available to PMDD partners, I am now dedicating my doctorate practice specifically for PMDD relationships. I am a traumatology doctoral candidate, and each week I will be providing PMDD partners with my signature PMDD trauma transformational tools on how to effectively navigate an intimate relationship while having PMDD, so that you can avoid the patterns of breaking up with your partner every single month, and you can finally have the supportive relationship that we all desire and deserve. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Now let's get into your weekly dose of PMDD relationship tools. We got this. Do you worry about what the constant monthly arguing is doing to your PMDD relationship? So your partner triggers you, and then PMDD rage takes over. And then the next thing you know, you spend your entire time while in PMDD even more miserable, with all of your symptoms flaring up even worse. This used to happen with me every single month, and it got to be so exhausting because I would always think of how damaging the arguing was and wonder how much longer I could take it. How much longer could my partner take it? So this is what caused most of my monthly breakups with my old partners, because I always thought if I was just single, maybe my symptoms would go away. So the problem was that I really did want to be in a relationship deep down. And every month, once I broke up with my partner, I immediately regretted it when the PMDD was gone and I was back in my good days. So I want to let you know that arguing with your PMDD partner doesn't have to mean that you break up with them. There is a way for you to argue during PMDD and not get to the point of breaking up. I know that sounds wild, but you may be relieved to learn that instead of driving you apart, arguing could actually strengthen your connection. So when you both argue, partners tend to say things that they've been thinking on their mind, that they've been holding in for a really long time, and they've just been keeping it bottled up because they feel like they're walking on eggshells. So these may be things that you actually need to know about your relationship, and you need to know about your partner. So the goal here is not to stop the arguing. The goal is to use one of my PMDD trauma transformational tools called Arguing Softly. So this tool allows you to learn more about what your partner is really going through, and for you to express what you're really going through that you may not have been saying, and then you learn how to deal with your conflicts constructively. So here are the 3 tools for arguing softly. Make sure you're writing this down, or you listen to this again so you can make sure you can use it with your partner. So the first thing is you want to acknowledge your differences. So tension builds up when you try to avoid conflict. Instead of shutting down or changing the subject, try addressing the issues directly. With a positive attitude, you can potentially turn an unpleasant encounter into an opportunity for change and growth. So you can begin to say the things that are really bothering you, but just say them in a positive manner without blaming the other person. The next thing is to maintain perspective. So you want to keep your minor disagreements from escalating. And I know this happens a lot in PMDD, but remember what you like about your partner. And sometimes you have to write this down, and you need to work on the weaknesses that you feel like come up every single time that you're in PMDD. The next thing is seek compromise. Giving each other multiple options may help you find a solution that satisfies both of your needs. So you need to practice negotiating in a way that accommodates what you want and what your PMDD partner wants without violating what you truly desire. So you don't want to put your needs on the back burner. So here are some ways to do this. The first thing you need to do is set ground rules. So you're going to agree on these guidelines in advance. These can include how you can communicate effectively, what makes you feel good with your PMDD partner. Maybe you want to limit your discussions to only 30 minutes at a time and avoid certain trigger phrases, certain things that you know that your partner says that triggers you. You want to avoid those. So the second thing is you want to clarify your goals. Think about what you want to achieve before you approach your partner. Do you want to vent to them and just let them know how you're feeling, or do you actually want them to change something that they've been doing? So the third thing is be really specific. It's easier to understand and support each other when you're specific on what you want your partner to do. This may be that you want to have a weekly date night, or this may be that you want them to stop nagging you about certain things while you're in PMDD. Be specific on what it is that you truly want. The fourth thing is take a break. Staying calm will help you to keep your emotions under control when you're dealing with PMDD rage, and it'll help you to avoid saying things that you might regret later on. So it's safer to just let your partner know that you need some time to cool off rather than risk having an ugly fight. So go for a walk when you find the PMDD rage coming up. Get outside, get some fresh air, go in another room, meditate, do whatever you need to do. The next thing is listen closely. Show your partner that you really care about what they have to say. So listening attentively to your partner without interrupting them and also rehearsing what they're saying means that they're feeling heard and understood, and have your partner do the same thing. The next thing is, I know this is so hard, but you need to stay on track. Stick to the issue at hand. Rehashing old disappointments will probably alienate your partner, make them feel triggered, make them feel defensive, and then cause them to be angry as well. So you also want to accept responsibility. Acknowledge your role in creating any difficulties in your PMDD partnership. When you've gone off on them during PMDD rage, apologize for what you've done, because until you apologize, they're not going to be able to hear the things that you're trying to say to them, because they're still going to be defensive. They're still going to be hurt. So I know this is really hard to do when you're in PMDD, but try to speak respectively. Steer clear of name calling and generalizations. Don't say things that are going to put your partner down. Don't judge them repeatedly for things that they're not doing right. And just remember that they're trying. This may be something that you need to write down and just remind yourself, my PMDD partner's trying. My PMDD partner's trying their best. So the next thing is you want to keep it private. So choose an appropriate time. And I know if you have children or if you're around a lot of friends all the time, you want to make sure that you're having these conversations in a private place. So making a scene while you're out or being in front of children can really, really damage your relationship. I've done this plenty of times before where I've chosen to bring these things up in public. Wait till you're in private. The next thing is consider coaching with me, having a PMDD relationship expert, so you can openly talk about your disagreements or the problems or the arguments that you're having on a monthly basis with someone that can actually give you insight about what it is that you're going through and how it's different when you're in PMDD and when you're not. So disagreements are unavoidable in any relationship, but especially within PMDD. But they don't have to end up in anger or separation. So if you work together to manage your emotions and find solutions that can make you and your PMDD partner happy, then the argument doesn't have to mean the end of your relationship. So I really want you to understand that there are solutions and ways that you can express how you're feeling with your PMDD partner without actually going off on them or ending the partnership. I know this has happened with me so many times where I've actually I said, okay, I'm going to prepare myself ahead of time and go to talk to my partner. And then it still ended up in an argument because I was just not in a regulated state. I was already feeling anxious. I was already feeling a little bit depressed, a little bit down because of all of my PMDD symptoms. So I was easily triggered. So sometimes the solution that I have for you is to just not bring up the heavy stuff while you're still in PMDD. When you're implementing these tools, this takes practice. So I don't want you to beat yourself up and feel like, oh, I failed, I'm not going to try it again. This takes months and months and months of getting it right. But once you do, when you have a disagreement and an argument, you're going to be so happy to know that, wow, I can't believe that we just got through a month of PMDD and we argued, but we argued softly and we did it in a way where it was effective. Because I know that sometimes when you don't want to argue in your PMDD partnership, you tend to think, I'm just going to hold everything in. You notice that you're being triggered, but you're holding it in. You notice that your partner is on edge, but you're choosing not to address it. You're just like, I'm not in a space that I can handle it right now. Well, what happens is, because you're in an intimate relationship, you have months and months and months of that being bottled up, of the other person not getting what they really feel out, and for you not getting everything out. And that's not sustainable for the long term. So you can do that 1 month or 2 months if you have months where you're not able to just speak privately for whatever reason, if you're just around family a lot when you're in PMDD, so you're not able to actually discuss it. But this cannot go on for months and months and months, because most of the clients that I have that come to me that have said that they've broken up and gotten back together, a lot of them have done that because they had so much stuff bottled up from months ago, even years, because they tend to think, I need to walk on eggshells. I can't really say what I want to say because I know it's going to trigger my partner. And then they're going to come at me really aggressively. And this is something that you may not know if you listen to a previous episode, which is the 8 struggles that PMDD partners go through. We can be really intimidating when it comes to being in PMDD. Like, we tend to have this persona, this strength that we don't always have. And it's the unknown for your partner. It's something that they're not used to. And because it's something that they're not used to, it's kind of really scary because your partner doesn't know what you're capable of. So if they're in that kind of environment, that stressful environment where it's like fight or flight, then they can get really defensive. They can act really, really out of character. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but you just have been with your partner and they say things and they do things, and you just think to yourself, they would never say that or do that to me if they were being their normal loving self. Well, what happens is they get really defensive because they have all of that bottled up, because they feel like they have to defend themselves, and they don't feel like you're on the same side. They feel like you're on opposite sides of the spectrum. So when your partner is looking at you as the enemy, as somebody that they have to protect themselves from, then they feel compelled to say those hurtful things, to go below the belt the same way you do. When you're in PMDD and you have all of that rage going on, you're not as cognizant of the things that you're saying because you're just feeling like, I don't need to deal with these relationship issues because I have all of this PMDD going on. So you tend to not think about how the things that you're saying is affecting your partner. And by the time you do think about it, and when the symptoms go away, it's like the clouds are lifted. Like all of a sudden you can see what you really said and how it really affected your partner, and you feel so much guilt and shame, and you know that you went below the belt. And so sometimes you think that, oh, well, I'll just not bring it up, because maybe if I don't bring it up, then my partner won't bring it up and we can just pretend like it didn't happen. It's so much easier to just avoid having those conversations about things that you've said and done to your PMDD partner with the PMDD rage, because you don't want to address it, because it's almost like you're looking at it like, that wasn't me. So when you're not in PMDD and you're back to your loving self, when you think about the things that you said, it's almost like looking at a movie. It's like looking at something that someone else did, like, man, that was really messed up, but you're not taking ownership of it because you're disassociating yourself, which is a lot of times this is what we do. The behavior that we have when we're in PMDD, we disassociate ourselves from that. We separate ourselves from that because we generally feel like two different people. So it's hard to take ownership of something that you did when you don't even feel like it was you that did it, if that makes any sense. And so you kind of have to, in order to apologize, in order to address anything that you said during an argument, during PMDD, you almost have to go back into being that person, go back into that person and address specifically what you said. And that's a really dark place to be. And it's kind of a place that you don't want to go, because when you're in your good days, the last thing you want to do is talk about what you did in your bad days with PMDD. Like, you just want to pretend like everything is back to normal and everything is just, we're just happy and in love. And sometimes your partner will go there with you. Your partner will go there with you because they generally want to be happy. So they're going to be accepting of going to that place. But the problem is that everything that was said during the argument, it doesn't go away. They're still thinking about it, because in the back of their mind, especially if you call them a name or if you attack their character, even if you're having the most loving time with your partner, in the back of their head, they're like, man, I can't believe she called me this, or I can't believe that they called me that, or it's still going to come up until it's addressed. And that's why I said these arguments are normally when everything comes out and they say, well, you're the one that said this to me, and you're the one that said this to me. And our defense normally is, but I was in PMDD. We almost think that we don't have to take responsibility for the things that we say and we do because we were in PMDD. It's almost like saying, that wasn't me. That wasn't me, because it genuinely doesn't feel like you. But at the end of the day, we need to understand it was us. It is a part of us. And owning PMDD and knowing that it's a part of us is a very, very hard thing to do, because you tend to think, it's like having an alter ego that you don't really want, like not the cool, sexy ones that, that are like badass and all of the things. You literally have an alter ego that you want to just like shut the door on every single month. And so sometimes what I suggest my clients to do is at the beginning of when you're in your good days, right? When you're in your follicular days and you're feeling your best and you're feeling happy, just set an appointment, set a time. This is actually when I have a lot of my client calls with my private clients, is when they're in their good days, when they're first in their good days. And it's normally when the PMDD partner, the one who's not in PMDD, is at their most vulnerable, because they feel so beat down, so bogged down from days and days and days, sometimes weeks of their partner being in PMDD and just piling on them. And I immediately have a session. And what this private session does is it resets you. It gets everything out within that. I believe most of my sessions are about 90 minutes. I don't really time them that often, because I feel like once things start to come out, I like them to happen organically. So I feel like when you have in your mind of, oh, we only have 60 minutes with this person, or we only have 90 minutes, like it makes you feel like you can't bring certain things up that generally need to be brought up. So with all of my private clients, the time frame is very flexible, because I want to be able to resolve and give you tools that you're going to be able to use for that specific month. So if you're interested in having a private session with me or with me and your partner, then make sure you DM me at Instagram at InLoveWithPMDD, or you can also go to my website, www.inlovewithpmdd.com. And I have a lot of you email me on Gmail, which I check all day long, along with my DMs, and that's at inlovewithpmdd@gmail.com. And basically just describe to me what it is that you're going through, because once you fill out that questionnaire, what I really do with my private clients is I customize your session. So many times you think about going to a counselor and you spend so many times trying to explain what PMDD is and explain what you're going through, that's the session. Like the whole hour is spent you trying to explain to the other person what you're going through, why you're going through it. So that's the benefit of having a PMDD specialized relationship coach like me, is most of the things that you're going through, I know, because I go through them too. So we can just get through that first 20 minutes of explaining what PMDD is and how it's affecting you. I deal with it every single month. So you don't have to explain to me. I'm in it with you. But what I do is I give you tools for you and your partner that you can rinse and repeat and use every single month, so that when that issue comes up the next month, you can be like, oh, we have a tool that we can use. And then that way, that's going to help you avoid the arguments. So when I have these sessions with my private clients, it is, we go through what happened during that last period of PMDD. What was the theme? Because I know a lot of times with PMDD partners, we argue about the same things every single month. They keep coming up, like common things that your partner does to trigger you, and you don't know how to combat it. You don't know how to go about it. So then you end up having the issue. So we go over what was this specific theme for this month, and then I give you the tools and we go through an exercise. Not only do we go through an exercise to make sure that it works and it's customized to you and your partner's personality, but I also give you an ebook and it's customized for you and your partner, so that you don't have to, I don't want you in the session taking so many notes that you're not fully engaged with understanding what I'm telling you to do. I'm going to be providing everything that I teach you. I provide you with an ebook to go along with the session, so that when it comes up for the next month, you'll be able to use that. So if that is something that you and your PMDD partner are interested in, then make sure you contact me. My sessions do fill up monthly, and I only take a certain amount of private clients a month because I want to give them the opportunity to get those in-depth tools. So make sure for the month of April, I am accepting private client sessions, but once they fill up, I'll have to close it for the next month. You'll have to go over to May. So if you're interested for April, which is PMDD Awareness Month, and it's also the launch of my program. So if you're interested in the course, let me know so you can get on the wait list. But if you're also interested in private clients, I am going to take only a specific amount for the month of April, but I think this will be really good for you to just start to see how you can implement these tools that I make very practical. They're not big psychology things that you can't really understand. I break it down for you, very simple terms, very simple things, but they're simple things that make a big difference. And when they're implemented month after month, that's when you're getting to that place where you're having months and months and months of PMDD without having the arguments that are damaging to your relationship, and without feeling like you have to break up with your partner. And this is what's going to be creating those long-lasting PMDD partnerships that we all desire and deserve. We got this. I hope these tools will help you and your PMDD partner. In lieu of PMDD Awareness Month, I will be launching my signature course specifically designed for PMDD partners called the PMDD Partners Path. In this self-paced course, I will be providing PMDD partners with a guide on how to navigate a PMDD partnership, along with tools to combat the symptoms that we have each month that are damaging to your PMDD relationship, and exclusive content from my PMDD partner to give some insight on not just what we go through, but also what other PMDD partners go through, and teaching them on how they can help us with PMDD best to build a stronger, more peaceful and enjoyable relationship that we all desire and deserve. So to be added to the wait list, go to the link in my bio on Instagram at inlovewithpmdd, or email me at inlovewithpmdd@gmail.com. For everything that us PMDD partners go through every single month, we should not have to do it alone. We can have the relationship that we desire and deserve while we have PMDD. We got this.